All right, Ashmit, that of course is an important development, but let's also talk about the ongoing proceedings in the same-sex marriage hearing. The union government has today proposed setting up a multi-ministry committee to address the concerns of the LGBTQ community. The committee is to be headed by the Cabinet Secretary. This is what the Solicitor General told the Supreme Court. Ashmit, what was the response of the Chief Justice-led bench to this idea, to this proposal that was put forth by the government?
Well, the words that fell from the bench is that even these small steps matter and could lead to larger gains. That's the advice coming in from the Apex Court, from the CJI himself, as well as all the 5 judges of the bench, saying that this is something that should be welcomed by the petitioners. The Solicitor General today submitted before the Apex Court that in trying to find a via media, what they've done is that the centre will now be constituting a committee. It will have representation of multiple ministries and will be headed by none other than the Cabinet Secretary himself, and that he will take charge, and that this is a forum, a platform where the petitioners can voice their concerns going forward. Now, initially, the petitioners had echoed concerns, saying that this would only be an administrative exercise, whereas what they've sought, which is recognizing the fundamental right to marry, that is something that will require a court declaration, that will require legislative changes, and that is not something that this committee will be able to do. And that was the concern that the petitioners cited. However, all the 5 judges in unison advised the petitioners that small steps matter, that incremental steps, in fact, is something that will help realize these gains, and in fact even pointed out that even though the Supreme Court or the centre may or may not agree with the right to marry, there is an agreement, at least on the idea of cohabitation, that there are legal consequences, there are practical consequences of cohabitation which will require changes and amendments to various laws. That is something that the committee can in fact go forward and deal with. In fact, at one point the CJI even remarked that would the petitioners want to risk these incremental gains at a time while pursuing larger claims before the Apex Court and the government. So with that advice, the petitioners appear to have reconciled and said that they will take into consideration this committee. But clearly, the government here looking for a via media, and the Apex Court pitching for perhaps more negotiations and conversations between the two sides.
All right, Ashmit, appreciate you joining us with both those stories. Time for us to head into a short break.